Welcome to Rain Radio, where we have juicy conversations that lead to powerful transformation. We are your hosts. I'm Naomi Calderon.
And I'm Lila Sage, and today we are talking about the power in commanding your calendar. So grab your drink and your journal, put on your crown, and let's chat. You are not in your normal location. What are you drinking?
I am drinkless right now, but I won't be for long.
What a tragedy. What are you getting when you get your drink?
I'm getting a total healthy, hippie, nerdy coffee that's got like mushrooms and CBD and God knows what else in it.
That does not sound appetizing, I have to admit. You gotta sell it better, Naomi.
Well, I've never had it, so I'll let you know whether it's worth selling or not next time.
All right. I'm interested now. I'm
and
intrigued.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking water.
Woo!
Because somebody's half side told me more water and sweating. So I'm drinking water.
Somebody's half side is a brilliant man, I have to say.
He is quite brilliant.
I'm a tiny bit biased, but he's also very brilliant.
Okay, so commanding our calendars. Tell us everything you know.
Oh my gosh, how long do we have? So, commanding your calendar. This was this has been a topic that I have spoken on for probably the last 3 years, and often people are like, "Why are we talking calendar? You're a health coach." Well, guess what? The number one complaint I hear from people is, "I don't have time. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to grocery shop. I don't have time." As my BFF likes to say, ain't nobody in this room running a country. So, unless they are, I don't know, somebody on the call, maybe, but most of us aren't. And I was like, well, how do we manage our time better? How do we control our calendar? And for me, that still feels like struggle. It still feels like juggling. But if I command my calendar, I'm owning that. So that's the first piece for me, and in working with clients, is how do we start to command, not control, not manage, but command our calendar? How do we take ownership? Because to me, it's really about this allows us to own our day. Own your morning, own your day, command your calendar. You are the commander of your life. That's the sovereignty piece, as I see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, all the same. And I totally love it. It's really funny because I am well, that's not true anymore. I used to be anti-schedule. When I was depressed, because I felt like and we talked about this in the shoulds call, I felt like everything was an obligation. And so I didn't want to schedule anything because I did not want one more obligation. I was not consciously aware of it, but I was very unconsciously like, oh God, no, don't schedule anything. What do you mean create a schedule? I'm running away now. And now I'm like, okay, so if I get up at 6, then I have time to work out and have breakfast, and I can be on the prayer call at 7:15, and I can arrive at life like a normal human being instead of a glitched in hologram. So, yeah, that definitely took some mindset shift for me to look at it as commanding my calendar or being in charge of my time, my calendar, and my schedule, and my energy and my life versus, oh God, now I have to schedule even my downtime. Blah.
That does feel heavy.
Yeah, but scheduling my downtime actually gives me downtime.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, Gretchen Rubin's 4 tendencies, one of them is the upholder, and another way of saying that is the people pleaser. So upholders are really good at honoring commitments to other people. They're not as good at honoring internal commitments.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I did not have it in my calendar that I am taking a nap from 1:30 to 3, yes, my naps are that long. Stop judging me. Get you a nice long nap. You'll feel better. Or
I can help you rationalize that later. It's all good.
Or if I don't have, that I am doing energy healing on myself, or that I'm hanging out with my boys, if I don't have those things like scheduled into my calendar, if I see white space on my calendar, I'll just be like, oh, there's nothing there. Yeah, I'll put you in. And then I'm an insane person, and I'm grumpy because all of these things are in my calendar. Well, who put them in there? Me. Yeah. So
what I hear, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What I hear in what you're saying is that being in charge of your calendar puts you at choice. Now you're at choice of how you're spending your time. You're at choice to take a nap. You're at choice to spend that time with your boys. You're at choice versus someone else is making me do this, which is what an obligation is.
Absolutely.
So you're, again, commanding that time. And we all, from the 4-year-old who digs their heels in because somebody told them to go wash their hands before dinner. Any of you have kids, I'm sure that if it's not wash your hands before dinner, it's go clean your room before you can play or whatever it is. We've all seen kids who do that, right?
Yeah.
Dig the heels in, cross the arms, scowl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? I don't care if you're 4 or 14 or 44 or 84. None of us like being told what to do or feeling like we have to. So the more we can command our calendar, the better. And I'm with you there. I hate having to live by a schedule. I did it for years when I was a personal trainer because that was, your client started at a certain time. You had to end them at a certain time because your next client was at a certain time. And everything was very by the calendar. And I lived by my watch. But I didn't schedule my downtime because that allowed me a little more, quote, freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, I had a coach who told me successful people schedule everything. And it made me crazy. Number one, I dug my heels in. Yay for my inner 4-year-old. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my mom. And now you know what the chatter sounds like in my head, right? In addition to that, it felt like one more thing to have to restrictively live by.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to ask you a question in a second because it sounds like now when you schedule those things in, they actually happen, like your naps and your time with your boys and your, I don't know, play tiddlywinks, whatever it is for you that you've scheduled in. Mm-hmm. They actually happen, which really actually ends up creating more freedom
mm-hmm.
to spend the time the way you choose and really desire to. I'm hearing you right, correct?
Yep.
So my question to you is, what did have to shift to go from, oh my God, please don't make me put one more thing on my calendar, to I'm owning this sucker. My calendar's my bitch.
As with everything in my life, it was a bunch of stuff, including a Naomi in my life.
Oh.
But it started during paper plate season. And if you've been hanging out with us for a while, you know that I went through a paper plate phase because I just couldn't wash dishes. They made me cry. They made me a bad mom. They were just terrible things. when they weren't clean, and they were never clean. And one of the other things I did during paper plate phase was I scheduled nothing. I agreed to nothing. My answer to everything was maybe. Are you coming to Koya? Maybe. Can we go out to dinner? Maybe. Can you come over for lunch? Maybe. And then as I took that downtime where the only obligations that I had were to keep a roof over my children's head, which included going to my day job and resting, I began to regain my energy and my sanity. And from that, I also learned how to say no to other people and still feel in integrity with myself, which is hard as a Lila, and probably part of that being hard is being an upholder. Mm-hmm. I remember someone asking me if I could babysit, and I told her that I had plans. And my plans were literally to get on my couch with my blankets, my pillows, and my boys, and that was it. Like, we might nap, we might watch a movie, I might nap while they watch, like, it doesn't matter. I will be on the couch for 4 hours. That is all. And it was integrity for me because I had actual plans. It was in my calendar for that afternoon that I was going to spend 4 hours on the couch. So it was easy for me to go, oh, actually, I'm not available to babysit. I have plans.
And not having to rationalize and apologize and placate and just.
That took a lot of practice.
Yes.
It took a lot of saying no, and then like clamping my hand over my mouth so that I didn't explain. Because part of the curse of being a storyteller is I want to tell you why, and I want to tell you in great detail. I want you to understand. And so I had to stop all of that and just go, no,
I have plans.
Just no.
Not available.
Exactly.
It really starts to teach you, the more you practice that, to say yes to those things that serve you and no to those things that don't.
Exactly. And so how I got there was a conversation with my friend Naomi. And we talked about like values and what's actually important to me and scheduling those things into my calendar so that there is no white space unless it's actual white space, unless it's actual free time, that I can then go, oh, yeah, actually I do have Tuesday morning available for brunch with you or a networking event or, you know, whatever is being requested of me.
And that's perfect because and that's where, and I heard someone, she used to coach college students because she went through, her name's Janae. She's a coach, and she coached college students because she went through college in 3 years, and I think she double majored. I mean, you know, and she did it while working and without losing her sanity or her health. And so she coached other college students to do that same thing. And when she talks about working with your calendar, and this is what I encourage people to do, especially if they're an upholder, is when you sit down to plan your calendar, whether it's by quarter, by month, by week, by whatever that is for you, although most of us can't really handle more than a week or a month at a time. But put yourself in first. Even if you know, okay, Boy Scouts is always Tuesday night at 9, fine. But before you put in Boy Scouts Tuesday night at 9, put yourself in first. Obviously, avoid Tuesdays because you know that you're going to have to erase it. So don't go crazy and cause yourself headaches, but put yourself in first.
It's like a 10% fun, but for your time.
Yeah.
I love that.
And unconsciously, it starts to tell yourself, I'm worth it. I'm worth taking the time for me. I'm worth doing the things I enjoy. And this is something I will tell you, people, I fall in and out of. So I'm here to give you hope. I'm not like, oh, look, that Naomi, she does her calendar perfectly. Oh, dear God, no. I go through spurts of time where it's like, yeah, I got this dialed in. And then all of a sudden, my calendar is chaos, and I'm nowhere on it, other than I got all these things I got to be at.
Yeah, so we did have some Tuesdays and Thursdays last month where we were like, are you okay?
Right? It's like, oh, yeah, I just started at 7 in the morning, and it's now 8 o'clock, and I'm getting home. And I went all freaking day. That typically is not my norm. And yet, last month it kind of was. So
yeah,
it happens. And it gives me an opportunity to step back and go, okay, not following my own guidance. What do I need to shift? But putting yourself in first. Some of you, much like the just simply saying no for Lila, where she had to slap her hand over her mouth to not explain, some of you will find that is a hard thing to do initially.
Mm-hmm.
Especially those of you who are moms.
That's when you have to access your inner 2-year-old.
Yeah, me first, mine.
And no.
And
do you want to go to McDonald's? No. Do you want Legos? No. Do you want to go potty? No. Oh, God, okay. Egon Levan Zant once said during one of her talks, she's like, I want you to say no to everything. She's like, you have to overcompensate in the beginning because you're not used to it. And so you're not going to you have to like stretch that muscle and grow it. And so she's like going on with her talk and she goes, do you understand? And somebody in the audience goes, no. And she was like, oh, look, you're starting already.
Perfect. It's perfect. And yes, sometimes we do have to let that pendulum swing clear to the other side to practice it. A baby step that I taught a group, I did a workshop locally. It's probably been a year and a half ago. And in it, teaching some of these concepts, especially with local people where it's like, hey, let's get together for coffee. Let's do a networking coffee. Let's do a this. Let's do a that. And there's this networking thing and there's that event. And I want to go support that person's ribbon cutting and all the things. And so I'm like, if you're the overpacker, especially the calendar crammer, learn to say, that sounds really great. Let me check my calendar and get back to you. And I heard this, I'm thinking, oh my God, did I drop the F-bomb and not realize it? What just happened? And I'm like, so say more about what that was. And she goes, you can do that? And I was like, yeah, I give you permission right now, right here. And what she was afraid of is that people would get mad at her for not responding right then and there. I'm like, well, if it's that, hey, do you have time to go for a coffee right now? Okay, don't be like, well, I can get back to you. No, you have to make the decision right then and there. But if it's, are you available next week on Tuesday at 9 for this networking coffee or to meet for whatever, they don't have to know right then and there. Yeah, now, you may need to ask, by when do you need to know? So that they're not holding their schedule open and you're going to tell them an hour before, hey, I can still meet you if you want. Be in communication, be clear about when do you need to know by.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, like around here, I don't know if this is the same everywhere. I swear we have 7,259 different nonprofit organizations just in our little valley. And everybody needs volunteers. Everybody has these phenomenal programs going on. Everybody needs help. And a lot of them are really awesome. And you could quit your job and be a full-time volunteer around here.
Wow.
And be busy 24/7.
Wow.
You get about 5 hours of sleep because they're not open at night. However, it can get really crazy if you're saying yes to everything. And so I'm like, you can also add to someone, you know what, this project, plan, organization, whatever it is that you have going on, I know how much this means to you. And if I commit, I want to be able to commit at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go back and check my calendar to make sure I can do that before I say yes. When do you need to know by? It really is helpful, isn't it?
It is. It is. I love that I get like firsthand access to these tools, because I kind of did something like that, but the way that you say it makes it so much more amazing. I was considering joining forces with this national speaking opportunity put on by a New York Times bestselling author. His book like changed my life, and I get on the phone with him and I'm like completely fangirling all over the place. And he said, so would you like to register with us? And I said, it's an absolute yes, but I always sleep on my decisions for 24 hours, so let me call you back tomorrow. And he goes, okay, great, I actually really respect that. And I said, awesome, thanks. But it was just, for me, that was part training wheels moment, but it was also a like, I am fangirling. I want to make sure that this is a solid decision that I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, let me sleep on it and get back to you. And for me, like, I am that way about financial decisions over $100. I'm like, I'm going to go take a nap. And then I'll give you my answer.
And I think that's probably a whole nother call that we might end up having to do, because it starts getting into that decision making. How do you make decisions in honoring that aspect? So make a note so that we can remember to revisit this piece of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because it does get into the human design aspect of that. But yes, it's okay to let people know, I'm going to have to get back to you on that, not because you're blowing them off, not because you're saying maybe to everything because you can't possibly commit to one more thing, but because you really want to honor that person and yourself.
Yeah.
So the same woman came back to me, like I saw her 2 weeks later at an event, and she goes, oh my God, I've been doing what you told me to do. And I was like, what did I tell you to do? I'm thinking, we've had a few different conversations over a period of a couple of months. I'm like, what's she talking about? I have no idea. What am I bossing people around about now? And it's just kidding, folks, really.
She's a bossy Leo. It's good.
I'm a Leo, so sometimes it does happen. But I'm like, okay, great. What did I tell you to do? And she goes, I've been asking people, that sounds great. Let me check my calendar and get back to you. I'm like, that's awesome. How's it working? She goes, oh, it's fantastic. Not a single person got mad. So it was so eye-opening to her that she wasn't letting people down by not answering in the moment. Some of us are in the moment decision makers. And sometimes we can say, let me flip my calendar open to next week. And we know. And sometimes it does require saying no to everything at first.
Yep.
Sometimes it requires, let me get back to you. When do you need to know by? And recognizing, am I fangirling? Am I not wanting to let people down? Am I really excited about this thing? And sometimes that takes a step back.
And sometimes it takes a conversation with Naomi.
Sometimes.
So we have like 4 minutes left in this conversation. How much so what can we pack into that 4 minutes? So like what happens when you command your calendar? What happens for you?
For me, I feel more, the word that comes up is stable. There's less chaos because I know I can rely on exactly where I need to be and what I need to be working on and what I need to be doing, where I need to be showing up. It also creates the space for self-care, and it's coming up a different way, but I'm not sure how to articulate it. Not just the self-care, but that the pieces that I enjoy, the fun stuff, it often I feel like I need to do X amount more business before I'm allowed to go have fun. I can't have fun until all the stuff is done. It's probably some throwback from being a kid. You can't go out and play until your room is clean, kind of a thing. There's going to be something to deconstruct as that comes up. So that's, for me, it also creates that permission to take care of myself, body, mind, and spirit. What about you? What happens when you command your calendar? And I see Wonder Woman bracelets and shit on.
I can supermom pretty hard when I command my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who are like, what the hell, supermom, what? My boys are 11 and 13, and if I am not present with and for them, they turn into potatoes. And if you are our age-ish or older, then you don't understand this concept, because children would go outside and play. They would roam the neighborhood with their friends. They would ride their bikes all over the city. My children will not leave the TV or the computer unless I drag them away from it.
I don't think they're that abnormal for this day and age from what I hear from parents.
Right. But when I was young, back in the 1900s, I would just walk around the sidewalks. That's how I spent my summer days, walking the sidewalks, drinking those 25-cent barrel juices, and eating French fries out of a brown paper bag.
Yeah, don't make me go inside.
Do not make me go inside. There's nothing in there but my mother. So, and during the school year, it, this one with band, that one with robotics. Let's get together with your friends. Is your homework done? How are you coming on that project? I can't do any of that if all of my time, energy, and attention is elsewhere.
Right.
So when my calendar is in my command, then there is time in there for hanging out with the boys. There is time in there for teaching the boys, because even when they're in school, there are things that I want them to learn that their school's not going to teach them. They're not going to teach them how to balance a checkbook. They're not going to teach them how to balance their chakras. They're not going to teach them how to manage their emotions. They're going to expect them to walk around basically being little round pegs so they can fit in their round holes, and I have very square pegs. So that is probably the most important thing that commanding my calendar allows me to do, but it also just allows me to feel human. When I have way too much going on and I'm frazzled, I don't like that version of myself. I'm mean.
Mm-hmm.
I am short-tempered. It's just all bad in all directions. And so I try to make sure, and I'm more joyful when I do command my calendar, because there are things in my calendar like go sit at your happy place, which is my local park has a waterfall. I go sit by it and journal or just lay there. And Sundays, yes, people with chocolate is me Sundays. Vitamin D is good for you people. I will schedule in binge time. I don't Netflix often, but when I do, it's usually an entire season of a show. And then I'm happy again, and I don't watch TV for 4 months. So it gives me back. It allows me to be more joyful. And I'm a better mom. I'm probably a better partner. I'm a better healer. I'm a better employee. I'm just a better.
There's more of you available is what I hear in that then.
Yes.
So my question to those listening is, what can you unlock for yourself by commanding your calendar?
I like that. Let us know in the comments below. And I like that being a fun place to pause this conversation till next time. What do you think?
I think it's perfect.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.